Mr. Hanna,
Mr. Evans.
do you have the details of the mission prepared before we start recording?
I do.
Okay, so how about you tell me what was James Bond's assignment before we start? Okay, whenever you're ready.
In this mission, Bond is sent to investigate the murder of 009 and uncovers a conspiracy involving counterfeit treasure and a plot to set off a nuclear bomb and make it look like an accident so NATO will disarm, making it easy for a Russian general to invade other countries.
And this is Octopussy. And welcome to another exciting episode of Bond Never Dies. I am your agent, Jeremy Evans, along with me, my agent, Travis Hanna.
Ba-da, ba-da.
And we are now in the 6th movie of the Roger Moore series with this Bond Octopussy. And what's interesting about this one is, granted that the last episode was not us at our best. We were pretty exhausted. The last mission was pretty exhausting. It was hard to get through in all this one, but this one is a little bit different. This one is not, to me, in my opinion, it wasn't very exhausting, but also too, there wasn't really anything there at the same time.
Yeah, a lot of the plot really happens at the end.
Yeah,
like it's 2 acts of build up and a third act of
right. And so the question is, was the build up took too long?
Yes.
Okay.
I agree. Yes.
Yeah.
I think it did.
Yeah. And so we're going to take you on this mission where we're going to go through everything, and then of course we'll give you our thoughts about, how we feel about the Bond girl, how we feel about the Bond villain, how we feel like overall, and everything like that. So let's go ahead and start off where, of course, in every Bond film starts at the intro of how badass he is. So
okay, so I want to say, I don't have it in the notes, but I'm gonna take a guess that he's in Cuba.
Okay.
And I'm gonna say that because all the military guys are dressed like Castro, and he's impersonating a guy named Toro, and Toro is the size of a cigar, and Cuba is notorious for cigars.
Okay.
That might be reaching, but they never actually said where he was.
But also, what's really familiar about it is the uniforms, right? The uniforms
Right.
feel very Cuban.
Very, very Castro-esque.
Yeah. So it starts out, and just basically in a nutshell, this intro was not really that long. Basically what he was just going in to investigate. So he basically impersonate a famous general that was there, and he disguised himself as him to investigate what's going on because I think he wanted to plant a bomb.
Correct. There was some kind of device. We never really find out what it was. He plants a bomb. The general he's impersonating catches him. There's a chase that ensues. It's like a horse show or something going on because he arrives with a horse trailer, and then we find out that inside of the horse trailer is actually like a tiny jet plane, and so he is supposed to escape in the jet plane.
Yeah, so basically, in a nutshell, he got caught. They were going to take him somewhere. He had a girl with him. I guess that's co-Bond girl at the time. I guess in the moment.
Well, but I never really got a name.
I know,
but okay.
So
since we're talking about this,
I was just going to just run it really quick.
Yeah, but there's something absurd that happens. So they're in like this open top truck. Bond is being watched by 2 guys with guns. This chick pulls up alongside and is like showing some leg all the way up to her thigh.
And this is the girl that was with Bond in the very beginning.
Right. To distract these guys so that Bond can get away. Okay, these guys are wearing parachutes.
That is right.
And
Why?
Bond pulls the cords for the parachutes and the guys fly out of the back of the truck, and it's like, why are they wearing parachutes in a truck?
Were they planning to go on a plane after that? But you would think there'd be parachutes at the plane,
right? I don't know.
Oh no.
Anyway, so Bond pulls this little plane out that like the wings fold up, and he takes off and he gets tracked by a rocket. He runs the rocket into this hangar where he had placed the bomb. It blows everything up. And then another odd thing happens. He runs out of fuel, and he has to stop to get fuel. and the gas station he stops out says gas oil, and there's a hillbilly.
Yeah.
So it's like there's no way he got out of Cuba
that fast.
And unless there's like Cuban hillbillies.
Apparently.
I don't know.
Or is it in Cuba? We know that's a question too. Like,
yeah, maybe the Cubans came for the horse show.
Maybe.
And they're in Florida.
Or they're on the very coast of Alabama. I don't know, Travis, but...
yeah, we're Sergeant Pepper.
Right.
We need Sergeant Pepper to set us straight.
So we go right in the intro. So here's a couple of things that we notice about this film right here off the bat. One, the title Octopussy is the very first Bond film that has a name of a female character that will be introduced later. Right, that's the very first Bond we ever get that title, and the very first Bond girl. That second, this is the first time we get a song that doesn't put in the title Octopussy in it. The song is called All Time High.
Yeah.
So Octopussy is the only movie so far I know that does not sing a song with the title Octopussy. That is very interesting. I guess they couldn't figure out, or it'd just be too awkward to do a song titled that. But I would have loved to see them actually try. Well, it would have been intriguing.
I guess. What rhymes with pussy?
I think they can figure it
Wussy.
out. They can figure it out. I mean, they did Goldfinger, and they didn't have to rhyme with finger.
But lots of stuff rhyme with finger.
But they didn't rhyme it that much. They just use it. They just use the name to get across, and they sung about something else. You know, they say Goldfinger, da 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 da, and it didn't rhyme with finger at all. You know what I mean?
That's true.
You know what I mean?
He's the man with the Midas touch. Well,
yeah.
Spider's touch. That kind of rhymes. Midas. Okay, it doesn't rhyme.
No. It
doesn't rhyme.
But it connects, right? Finger touch, right? Octopussy could have been intriguing. I would have loved them to attempt to try, even if it might have failed. But it's better than this All Time High, which the song to me sounded like they were trying way too hard. They were trying way too hard in this song.
I kind of want you to add a counter for every time we have to say pussy.
Oh, okay. So if that's the case, I'm at 4.
Okay. Well, I mean, like if you could just like have a bing sound or something.
Oh, okay.
And then like we'll count it up at the end because this is obviously just an excuse to keep saying pussy. Pussy galore.
Okay, you can stop. We're at 6. Stop. Okay. I'm not going to say it every 5 seconds until it's time to introduce her.
But you brought up a good point about the movie in that an octopus plays a theme and the
organization's specters and symbol is an octopus, right?
Right.
And so nowhere in this is connected to that. And I mentioned that I think that was a missed opportunity. And then also we find out that the main actress playing as Octopussy is it's been played by a woman named I think her name is Mal Adams or something like that, and she also played as the woman on the beach with the man with the golden gun, the second film in Roger Moore series. And so she just hung out on the beach. So this is her second time doing a film, and I felt like that could have connected in some way too. That would have been interesting. And then you find out like she's been there the whole time as part of Spectre. That would have been awesome. But sadly enough, we didn't get that, Travis.
We did not.
So let's move on. Oh, let's go talk about the visual effects. How do you feel about the visual effects, other than the laser pin Bond look?
Well, I didn't like this opening at all.
You didn't?
No, it was.
Did it feel kind of lazy?
Very lazy.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, oh man, we spent a lot of money on the movie.
Mm-hmm.
What's the cheapest opening we could do?
Right.
It's men swinging around chicks, like silhouettes. Mm-hmm. There's naked chicks standing up, and then like laser silhouettes of James Bond, and then 007 on
Travis,
their bodies.
I guess I look at it like this. The Spy Who Loved Me had a really good intro, and I feel like that they were too much riding on that. That like, that's awesome. Let's keep pushing that instead of like, let's do something different or try to do something better than that. And I haven't seen anything that goes beyond that because.
But it's that really cool abstract.
Right. And the song fits it with it, right?
Yeah, I didn't like the song at all.
And especially where the gun shoots off the Bond logo was kind of like, that's kind of, you guys could have done a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so, anyways, let's go ahead and start off where.
So we're in East Berlin.
Where
this is prior to the Berlin Wall coming down.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Because the Berlin Wall didn't come down until '89.
Yeah.
So
yeah, and then we learn our theory is each Bond movie is set at the exact same date that the movie is coming out. So let's go ahead and talk about this clown.
Okay, so we're observing this clown running from a circus, and there's a knife thrower following him.
Mm-hmm.
And long story short, the knife thrower ends up throwing a knife in his back.
Mm-hmm. And by the way, the guy that was chasing after him, think about it's a circus, so you have all these little entertainers and stuff. So the clown's getting chased by this guy that actually has a twin brother,
right?
And they're both knife wielding throwers and whatnot. And so, but like he said, after this chase in the woods and everything, they've caught up with him and managed to knife him in the back, and the clown ended up falling into this little river under a bridge. But he managed to stay alive, right, Travis? Because he made it to shore, and he managed to...
He climbs to this really wealthy party that's going on.
Would you say it's a party or a country club? What do you think it is?
It might have been a country club, but the point is he dies.
Yeah.
And in the process drops a Fabergé egg. Mm-hmm. Which gets the attention of MI6 because we find out that the clown is actually Agent 009.
Yes.
So
rest in peace, 009.
Bond is called to M's office where he talks with Moneypenny and Moneypenny's newest replacement, Smallbone.
I think I'm going to find out if this is the only time you've seen her in the series, because I do not remember further on. But with Smallbones. Okay.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
So Bond meets with M and an art expert, and they talk about the Fabergé egg and how it's a forgery. And then Bond gets put on the operation to go investigate who killed 009, who's making forgeries, and why.
Yeah. So after that investigation, they end up going to an auction because the gentleman that was in the office was actually going there himself.
Well, before we get to that.
Oh, yeah.
We have to go to Russia.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
Where General Gogol.
Yeah, we have a meeting, don't it?
And it's a meeting of the Russian minds, a bunch of Russian leaders.
By the way, has this been a pattern in this series so far that Russian and England has been this thing back and forth?
Well, it's the Cold War.
Yeah, but I'm just saying in general, there is some other bonds that sped off from Russia. I just feel like that they keep going into this so much. That's all.
Well, I think it's because the Cold War was on everybody's mind.
Okay, I'll give you that.
It's like movies now where Iraq and Afghanistan are the key locations.
Okay.
So there's a general named Orlov who wants to invade Eastern Europe. Mm-hmm. And Gogol is telling him he's crazy. There's no reason to start a war or anything like that. Well, we find out that Orlov is actually stealing treasures out of out of the Kremlin and getting forgeries made, and he's selling the forgeries and keeping the originals so that he can fund his attack or his invasion. So Bond and that art expert go to an auction where this fake Fabergé egg is going to be auctioned off because they want to try and find the seller and see if they can capture him and find out, or capture them and find out what's going on.
Yeah. So at this auction, which actually, to tell you the truth, this is probably one of my favorite scenes in this film on this mission, is they were doing this betting, and then right there we get our intro of this lovely woman that automatically you assume that she's the main target of this film right now, and she is with the gentleman by the name of
Kamal
Khan. Kamal Khan. Yeah. So they're setting up quite a few ways, because the way it's set up, you have the auctioneer, and then you have this little table in front of it, that's kind of like an in shape if you're looking at it, and then you have a big crowd around it. But it's still anyone can just put their hands up as an auction. So Bond challenged Khan back and forth for this egg that they have on display
because they established that the egg is only worth like $250,000 or something like that. So Bond notices this woman who was actually named Magda come in, and she's whispering to Kamal, who the art expert says is typically a seller and not a buyer.
Right.
So Bond thinks something's fishy and starts raising the price on the auction, and they get it up to like 300,000. So Kamal, or no, 500,000.
Yeah.
So Kamal pays almost 300,000 over the suggested value. And so that intrigues Bond even more.
Yeah, and what's the funnier part about this part too is before Bond forced him to pay up that much, he wanted to take a closer at the egg, right? So he took it, but for some reason, no one cared to really look at him closely. That he put the egg under him over this magazine that he was reading. But sorry, it's the program. It's the program to show you like what's going to be in the auction.
Right.
So he grabbed it, he slipped it under, and then he gave it right back over the paper like that doesn't look suspicious at all.
Yeah.
And
it was a bad switch.
Yeah, but the switch was complete because Khan ended up having the fake.
Right.
And so that leads to the next part where Bond is getting yelled at by M about like, why did you do that? What happened if he didn't bid higher than you and all this stuff? And he's like, don't worry about it because guess what? I have the real egg. And he's like, okay, whatever. So they find out that they have to head to India, where the next story, where actually the adventure really begins.
It does. A lot of it takes place in India, and it's actually really funny because as soon as Bond arrives, he's looking for his contact, and there's a bunch of snake charmers, and one of the snake charmers plays the Bond theme.
Yes,
and that's how Bond identifies his own theme.
Yes, because like in no other film, they never played that song where he's like noticing it. So like apparently, I don't know. I don't know the theory behind that, but it was funny. It was funny.
So he meets this contact named TJ, who takes him to a taxi driver who's also one of their contacts, and they take him to his hotel. And there's some exposition where Kamal lives on this mansion on top of this rock that no one can get to because it's heavily guarded, but he plays backgammon in the casino. So Bond makes the plans that later on they're going to meet up at the casino where they can find out more about Kamal. So while that's all going, he ends up heading down to to the casino, right? So right there, he ends up meeting Khan, and I forgot her name again. I'm sorry. Magda.
And Magda. So they were sitting there, and Bond introduced Magda first while they went to the bar. She got kind of a little uncomfortable and walked back to Khan. And so Khan is playing this backgammon with this gentleman that just keeps losing.
Right.
Losing. Or he lets him win, and then he makes him bet big. And then he
uses loaded dice to make himself win. And so this general that he's playing already lost double or nothing twice, and he can't do it again. So Bond offers to take his place, and then says that it's player's choice and takes Kamal's dice and ends up winning 200,000 rupees, which is Indian currency.
But Travis, isn't it interesting that it was double or nothing? So what did he put on what did he bet with?
Oh, the Fabergé egg.
Yeah.
So he basically shows Kamal that he didn't actually buy the Fabergé egg, but that Bond has it.
So basically, also he basically took his money, and you don't even have the real egg. That's messed up,
right? And so he gives Bond a warning to go ahead and spend the money and get out.
right. So after with the cash, he gave some to his two guys.
Well,
go ahead.
He's got a henchman.
Oh yeah, you love this part. I forgot about this.
He picks up the dice for backgammon and crushes them between his fists into dust.
Like we haven't seen that before.
That's the coolest thing this guy does the entire movie.
Right? And so After Bond managed to get out, the tall gentleman. By the way, we don't know his name yet, and I don't think you'll ever get to know his name really. But regardless, he's waiting for him outside, and he has a shotgun / musket.
It's a blunderbuss.
I have never seen that. It looks like something you would see from like a Looney Tunes Elmer Fudd.
Yeah, so basically the idea is you can cram anything in it, and it's black powder, so it'll project out anything that you can cram in it.
Okay, so but is this a specialty one because he has shotgun shells loaded in it?
It must be, but the way the barrel is it basically looks like a trumpet.
Okay.
Opening. Mm-hmm. So I don't know.
So
I don't know.
I can't explain. I only explain the gun, Jeremy. I can't explain you what this thing does, right? So, anyways, they end up going to this chasing all over the town, right? And Bond is just trying to find ways to like lose him, but they end up getting one fight where such and such, the driver, what's his name again? I'm sorry.
TJ.
Yeah. Sorry about that, listeners. So TJ ends up fighting him off with a tennis racket while Bond was fighting off one of the guys with those shears? With those weapons like shears or something?
What were they? They were...
It was a weird weapon. It was such a weird weapon, Travis. It was it wasn't one of those weapons that had like a bunch of blades on it. It looked like a shears could pierce him.
Yeah, it's like if anybody has seen the movie Crawl, it's a ninja star with points at each star.
Okay, now that makes sense because you see that weapon again.
Yeah, so it's like a giant ninja star looking thing, almost like Predator-esque.
Okay, yeah.
And so Bond gets stabbed, and the evil henchman is shooting at him. There's like a parade or some kind of celebration going on. So it's just a whole bunch of stuff. But they're like, Bond is throwing away the $200,000 he got to make commotion. And then
it led to one of the fights that it required him to use utensils all around him. So for one, he I'm just gonna say in a nutshell what he did to people. So he ended up fighting did a sword fight with the big tall guy using a sword that he pulled out of someone's mouth. He managed to kick another guy into a bed of nails.
Well, he flipped him over onto the bed of nails.
That was like the best kill ever. I was like,
especially
because
the nails were obviously rubber.
A kill's a kill, Travis.
Right.
And then the other one, he ended up kicking like those ashes, I believe.
They're hot coals.
The hot coals at them.
So like it's a hot coal setup like you walk across to show that you can mind over pain.
Right.
And he like kicks a guy and he lands on him, and then he like kicks oil onto him and it like causes this big fire. Right. But the coolest part is they escape in a taxi, and they drive through this poster that looks like it would be on a solid wall, and as soon as they make it through, another poster drops down and replaces it. So it's obviously like a Q hideout.
Right. And so, but the funnier part about this part here is it cracks me up that like they knew exactly where to turn at the right time, but TJ lives there, so he should know like the back of his hand, right? And so, but it was just interesting how the way they cut it to that point, like, oh, this felt like they were planning to get here the whole time. Okay, that's fine. So
now they did something kind of interesting here. So we've seen the same kind of deal where Bond meets up with Q, and there's like gadgets in the background and things going on. So there's like a bundle of rope. And the rope like extends up, so if you're holding on to the rope...
Hang on, I gotta do my thing. It's time for Q branch.
Oh.
Okay, now go on.
Okay, so the rope goes up, and it carries the person up, but it doesn't work. Like, the guy who's riding it, like, it falls over, and it, like, the rope breaks, and it's kind of funny to see one of Q's inventions not work.
Right. And Bond ends up saying his funny line, I guess you couldn't... keep it up. And so another device that happened was a door
with spikes.
So my question is, you're walking towards a door and you see spikes. I don't know that would work perfectly for that person. It's kind of giving a heads up. You have to be really dumb to go to that door.
Yeah. But I mean, if you're not paying attention, I guess.
Right.
So they take the Fabergé egg, and Q puts in a tracker and tells Bond that his wristwatch will actually be like the tracking device, so he can keep track of where the Fabergé egg goes. And then he also gives him a fountain pen where instead of ink, it's acid. He's got acid, and the cap comes off, and it's a listening, or it's a speaker for the microphone that's inside of the tracking device.
And so from there, where does he end up going into next?
He goes, and
I believe he's heading back to his hotel, right? He heads back to his hotel where he meets a mysterious woman's waiting for him.
Right, Magda.
Magnum. So let's take a break, and we come back. We'll hear what Bond and Magda had to talk about.
Okay.
Hi. If you love video games and you love video game icons or characters, then please walk down the gaming halls of rivalries with us as we go through two iconic characters that rival each other in the gaming industry. Gaming characters like Mario and Sonic,
or Lara Croft and Nathan Drake,
or like Dante and Bayonetta,
and Master Chief and Samus.
If you enjoy these characters, then please visit the Gaming Halls of Rivalries as part of the in-game boss program and enjoy fun information and fun stories and the future of these characters. Thank you.
I'm your Dream City Saint Nom Tran.
And I am your time-traveling analyst, Jeremy Evans.
And we're proud to present to you a new show to the In-Game Boss program, where we watch movies that we love, we hate, and that we hadn't seen before.
As we take you on a journey through the present, the 2000s, the 90s, the 80s, and further back.
So let us take you back to the future.
We did it.
Yeah, we did it. High five.
No, stop that. Stop that. No. And welcome back to Bond Never Dies. I'm your agent, Jeremy Evans, along with Travis Hanna.
Ba-da.
And we just left you from the Q branch, and we're going to be heading right back to where Bond is heading to a hotel where he meets this woman named Magda. Of course, you heard her from earlier, but this is the first time they're actually going to have a conversation.
Right. So basically, Magda is like, your life for the egg.
Right. It was like a simple conversation.
Yeah.
But she wanted to get straight to the point, right? She was like, look, I want to trade. Trade for what?
Your life.
Your life for the egg.
Right.
And then Bond kind of played with that. And then all of a sudden, Bond managed to bond it right there. You know, there was no like, there was no way I felt like his life was on the line at all. Like it looked like she was not going to do anything. So Bond managed to do his thing. But we found out that she really used her seduction to get what she wants. So after they like...
Well, we also see that she's got a small tattoo on her back of a blue ring octopus.
Oh,
and
yeah.
when Bond asks, she says, "That's my little Octopussy." Mm-hmm. And he's just like, okay.
Right. He had that face like, okay, I felt like that I didn't need to know that. I wish I didn't ask. I really wish I didn't ask. And wasn't that like the cheapest looking tattoo ever?
Oh, it's definitely
looks like a little vending machine.
That's exactly
lick
what
and
it was.
stick it on. Look, I can get one of those right now and just go with it. And so, you know what? I should tell a girl that should be her Halloween costume. Just get that little tattoo there. Everybody will know who you are. Anyways,
so Magda sleeps with Bond, wakes up the next morning, is getting dressed, steals the egg, quote unquote. Bond lets her, so that he can track her. The coolest part about this scene is she leaves so she's wearing like a skirt dress thing, and she wraps herself up in like a sheet, and she uses the sheet to unroll herself out of the balcony. So if you've ever seen the Jackie Chan movie Who Am I, he wraps himself up. Like he wraps rope around his body, and he jumps off and like yo-yos down.
right.
She does something very similar to that, minus the like traumatic turning.
Right.
But it was a really cool scene.
It was.
And it was a really cool exit.
Right. And so down there waiting for her was Khan and his tall henchman as she escapes.
Right. And so as she goes out, the henchman knocks out Bond.
Yes. And Bond ends up waking up. I want to say it's Khan's home. I want to say it's his home because he has his own office.
Well, it's a mysterious woman's home.
Okay.
Because Kamal is actually, or Khan is talking to a woman we don't see. All we see is a robe that has a blue ring octopus.
Okay.
And she says that she wants to meet Bond. And Khan is like, no, I don't think that's a good idea. Mm-hmm. And she's like, well, I don't care what you think.
Right. And so Bond ends up heading back to his home, right? Is that where Bond is in his home, or do you think?
No. He's knocked out in, like they have him as a prisoner because he wakes up and there's bars on the windows.
Yeah.
Then the hench guy comes in and says, "You're having dinner at 8."
Yeah. So my question is, do you think that's part of Octopussy's like other home?
I think it's
because she has to have two homes. 'Cause I don't think the home is on that island by the looks of it.
No, I think it's the one that was up on top of the cliff.
Okay.
That he wasn't able. That they said he couldn't get to.
So we're thinking that is Khan's home per se.
Maybe it is.
Okay. So
my bad, listeners.
Yeah. So so Bond's there, and like he said, dinner was at 8 since it's all henchmen. You can't say no to that. So they're down at the dinner table, right? And Bond is, dressed up, and there's Magda sitting on the other end of the table and everything like that, where, basically Khan was trying to threaten him, but saying he was doing it in a classy way, like, we can get you to talk. We just have to give you the right stuff to make you talk. We're not going to like torture you. And so, but the interesting scene is that they were going to eat for dinner these giant sheep heads.
Yeah.
And Khan
Stuffed sheep head.
Yeah, and Khan did not even hesitate one bit to grab an eyeball and start chewing on it.
Oh yeah, it was very monkey brains in Indiana Jones.
Right. And so from there, after their dinner, they went back to their rooms. Bond had a guard outside his thing, and Bond managed to break the bars using his ink pen, the acid ink pen that Q gave him. And he was escaping out, but he was making sure he didn't get seen by Magda because she had her windows open and everything like that. But during that moment, a helicopter was coming down, right?
Correct.
And it was beaming lights, and it looked like Bond got caught, but he didn't get caught. So he ended up hurrying up and trying to get back into the shadows and everything. But in the helicopter
is Orlov. Mr.
Orlov here to visit Khan. And so from there, they were going to have a discussion of what the next plan is in their thing. So Bond ends up heading down to where their location is, but he was going to eavesdrop using the earpiece that he used to connect to the tracking device that he left in the egg.
Because they have the Fabergé egg with the tracker in it. Mm-hmm. So he's trying to listen in, and at the same time, Magda knows that he's escaped.
Yeah.
And so unknowingly, she's like blow drying her hair or something, and it interferes with the intercom,
which is interesting.
And so Bond can't quite hear everything that's going on. We only get a gist, and we know that it involves jewels, and the egg is important, but nothing much more.
Right. So after all that, you find out that Bond has people are finding out Bond escaped, so they're searching around, and Bond ended up hiding into this room where it
was like a freezer.
It was a freezer, but it had a couple dead bodies.
Right,
had a couple dead bodies, just hanging around. So Bond's mind was, well, how about I sneak in with one of the dead bodies, because there are two gentlemen that came in and they were going to take these two dead bodies away, but they put them in these little
in these bags.
So Bond decided to hide in one of those bags, like taking one of the dead body out and replace himself in there.
In fact, when they're hauling his body out, they throw it on the back of this Jeep, and he actually goes, ugh.
Right.
And the two guys look at each other and then just go about doing what they were doing. Right. They don't question it.
Right. So here they are driving off a little bit, and then all of a sudden, they were carrying the first body because there's this little pit where they just throw the bodies, and you can tell it's a pit where animals will just come and eat the bodies up.
Well, right, because there's wild animals,
right,
which we'll talk about here.
Right, and you can see there's a little pile of skulls and some bones down there and whatnot.
Right.
So Bond ended up scaring them. He stood up. He's like, ah, and then the other guys ran off, and then Bond just booked it. Which I come to my question, and before you answer, I want to say in each Bond movie, all henchmen for some reason do not take their keys with them, so the car is available for anybody to drive. Bond did not go to the car; he just ran right out into the forest, and I was like, "Why did you not take the car?
Yeah,
you're like right there."
Because we wouldn't have got this really cool scene where there's ridiculous spider webs with giant ridiculous spiders.
And what he's mentioning is Bond ends up being part of a thing called the manhunt.
Right. So Kamal is riding elephants and has rifles and a bunch of guys that are hunting him down, and Bond like runs into this ridiculously fake spider web.
It looks like the spider web you do at your Halloween
Yeah,
house.
there's like a spider, that quote unquote spider that like attaches itself to his arm, and he smashes it, and there's like green goo that comes out. Mm-hmm. Then he encounters a tiger, and then like he's hiding in the brush, and the snake.
No, hold up. No, that tiger scene was BS. Okay, he told that tiger to sit.
And yeah,
it's a tiger.
It laid down.
It laid down. Like, what? You can't tell a tiger to lay down. You are not that badass. That tiger should have destroyed you.
So yeah, so he's hiding in the brush, and like the snake like slithers over him, and then he isn't that far away from the henchman who's hunting him, and so he unbuckles like the thing on the elephant that's holding the guy.
Yeah. It's kind of like unbuckling like your saddle from a horse,
right? Mm-hmm. And then he runs off, and then like the next thing you hear is the Tarzan yell.
Oh my god!
And here's Bond swinging from vine to vine. And when I say Tarzan yell, I am not like exaggerating. Like if you were to watch the Tarzan movie,
George of the Jungle,
they took that sound clip.
Mm-hmm. What it was like, really, you got Bond swinging like this? Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And so like Bond hides out in the water, and he has to burn a leech off. But long story short, he ends up like swimming out to this boat where there's like a tour going on.
Yeah.
And Kamal won't shoot at him because they're just tourists, and he gets away. And he ends up back at Q's at a hideout with Q, where they talk about sneaking into Octopussy's island, and Q gives him like this, I called it a crocodile submarine.
I think it's pretty cool.
So basically, Bond is hiding inside of a fake crocodile body that just kind of floats up to the island, and nobody sees him.
Right. But I like that idea though. I think that's a cool idea. It just didn't make sense for that part. So Bond is kind of like, doing some recon work there, and he managed to get in the room where the famous Octopussy is finally revealed.
Right.
And so her and Bond kind of kicked it off pretty well. I mean, Octopussy feels like the character that doesn't come off like a bad person. She's just like, look, I'm just doing the job because I'm getting paid to do it. I'm not really like, I don't have really no end game to this.
Right.
I'm just like, she's basically the middleman of all this. Right.
And there's some connection between her and Bond where...
That's not from a man with a golden gun. Go on. Sorry.
He hunted down, he tracked down this guy. I forgot what he did. But basically he was going to bring him in under arrest, but Bond gave him a couple days to get his affairs in order, and he ended up killing himself. And it turns out that was Pussy Galore's father, and so she's grateful that she let him, that Bond gave him the ability to die with dignity, as opposed to dying and rotting in jail.
Right.
And it turns out that Pussy is a jewel thief. And
okay, wait. Let's rewind back for a minute. Just to make sure we got this correct. You did say Pussy Galore. Is that what you meant, or did you mean Octopussy? You said Pussy Galore's father. Do you mean Octopussy's father?
Yeah, Octopussy.
Okay,
father.
go on. I'm sorry. Just making sure for the listeners, like Pussy Galore. Whoa, this goes back to Goldfinger? It's like,
yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
I'm sorry.
All right, you're good.
So yeah, Octopussy's father.
That'd be an awesome twist.
Right? Octopussy's father. Anyway. Let's see. So he decides to stay as her guest. He finds out that she's a jewel thief and that only women are allowed on her island, except for she tolerates Kamal and his henchmen, and that she is training these women to be burglars and thieves.
Right.
And basically keeping them off the streets and trying to help them and using them at the same time. It's not like she's not doing anything bad to these women. But it's like a paradise for Bond, especially because she wants him to stay.
Right,
as
and
her
you know
guest.
what's interesting? It's funny that you mentioned Pussy Galore because the fact Pussy Galore did something kind of like that, but with just the planes.
Right.
It was all women planes.
Yes.
Yeah, getting them off the streets and having something else to do. So it's kind of funny that kind of connects a little bit.
Right.
And
So Kamal comes in and like informs her that Bond got away, and she's like, "Oh well, let me introduce you to my guest." And it's Bond.
I feel like Bond should have came out and said, "Face."
Right. And so he's like, "Well, if you give me a chance, I'll make sure I kill him this time." And she's like, "No, I'm going to take care of it. It's cool." And so Kamal leaves and meets up with these assassins, and he hires them to kill Bond. And so they sneak into her island. Well, first off, Q is watching the island.
Yeah, along with TJ.
He's like quote unquote fishing. So TJ relieves him, and these assassins show up and kill TJ. And then one of the assassins has like this yo-yo like saw blade, and so basically Bond fights the assassins.
It kind of reminds me of if you just look up a game called Ryguard.
Oh yeah,
Ryguard. It's like a disc blade kind of thing on a string and whatnot. And you know what? On the paper, it sounds awesome. Actually, no lie. The first time I saw it, it looked cool. The fact that he only can use it in one particular way, it was kind of like,
yeah.
You didn't throw it side. You can't throw it sideways. It was like, no, it's only going down only one direction. All right.
But Bond ends up like smashing a guy into Pussy's fish tank, which has a blue ring octopus, which is poisonous, and it like latches onto his face and kills him. Anyway, like Bond ends up taking the last guy. They fall out like through a window and into the water, and the dude is eaten by a crocodile, and Bond escapes inside of the crocodile submarine.
It's like, did they manage to like land right exactly where his crocodile thing is at? I guess.
Now I'm also going to point out that Pussy's henchmen are like wearing red jumpsuits.
Oh
with,
yeah,
like,
yeah.
Whites.
Have you seen Cat in the Hat? They look
Yeah,
like thing too, but there's like 5.
Yeah, it's like, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Isn't it funny too from that part right there when one of the women came in, she's like, "Here, give me the gun. I'll take care of it." And it's like, weren't they trained? Like, what?
Right.
Like, would you? How about you let them do it? So, anyways, so Bond makes it back towards. Oh, sorry. Go on.
We kind of jumped ahead a little bit. Bond is snooping around and finds a flyer or an advertisement poster for Octopussy Circus.
Oh, wait. Is that after he meets up with Q?
No. That's how he knows to go to the circus after he meets up with Q.
Oh, okay.
Because he sees a clown and
He investigate. That was before the fight scene, right?
Right. It was
okay.
Before.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
Right before.
So he found a clue that Octopussy runs a circus called Octopussy Circus, and so from there, that was his clue of what he needs to do next. Now, after the whole fiasco with the fight scene and everything, he managed to get in the crocodile suit per se, and he managed to meet up with Q, where Q ended up getting him the bad news that the henchmen that you got involved with were here earlier, and they killed TJ.
Right.
And so from there, the next day goes on where he goes into his next mission.
Well, he's in Russia.
Goes well.
He's going to go to the circus, where he actually ends up seeing the knife throwers are there, but he doesn't know they're henchmen yet. Orlov is there. The henchman is the big henchman is there.
And I think
Kamal
I think Magda, isn't she like the ringmaster? Per se, because she has a hat in the she's there. I don't know what the title is for her, but she has the top hat and everything.
And then Pussy's there also. And then right after the like Bond is watching them because they're all kind of sitting together, and then they all leave, and it cuts to Gogol, and he's in the Kremlin where we first saw Olaf, and Gogol starts putting things together that Olaf is making replicas, leaving them in the Kremlin, and selling the originals, and profiting off of the money. And so we know that Gogol's going to go after Olaf as well.
Right.
So there's a Bond pretends to be a worker for the circus and sneaks under a train and finds out that there's a bomb.
Right.
The Russians are giving Kamal a bomb in exchange for these jewels. It's Octopussy doesn't know that there's a bomb.
Right. Because I think he also, not only that he wants to set the bomb off, but I guess he wants to kill anything that's left behind. Like, no evidence.
Right. Well, it's a nuclear bomb.
Yeah.
So it's going to destroy everything.
Right. And then who's going to be blamed for it?
Well, it's going to be seen as an accidental
Exactly.
explosion at a U.S. military base.
Exactly.
So the circus is actually on their way to perform at the military base, and they have the bomb on the train, and Bond steals Olaf's car. The tires get blown out. The Bond is now on the train tracks, chasing the train in the car without tires. He ends up getting aboard the train. He tries to warn Pussy, and Olaf stops him, or Kamal stops him. Then they're fighting on the roof of the train. Kamal's giant henchman, Bond and then one of the knife throwers end up fighting and scuffling, and they fall off.
And then falling off here.
Yeah. Long story short, Bond fights the knife guy. The knife guy actually pins Bond to a shack with the knives. And when the guy goes in for the kill, Bond actually is on a door and pushes the door open so the guy falls in, and then Bond grabs one of the knives and stabs him and says that's for 009.
Yeah. Good job, Bond. Good job. Yeah. So what happens next? So a parade's going on, and basically the circus is getting ready to set up for the next big thing. They're setting up tents already. But where's Bond? Well, Bond's going to have to huff it, right?
Bond has to run from where he was all the way to the military base. Now, they set the bomb for 3:45, but there's a 4-hour delay.
Yeah.
So Bond has 4 hours to get to the bomb and disarm it.
At Octopussy Circus.
And it literally takes him the whole 4 hours.
Yes.
He is running. He's trying to hitch a ride. One car stops and laughs at him and drives off. He ends up getting with this couple who's offering him food. They get to this town. He's trying to call. He runs to a payphone to try to call, but a woman beats him there. So he steals her car
with no keys. See, this is what I'm talking about. He should have done that at that manhunt. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway,
that's a nice car
so,
too.
Yeah, it was Alfa Romeo GT V6. So Bond is racing to the circus, which is on a military base. The police are chasing him. Bond forces his way into the military base. So now the military guys and the police are chasing him. He ends up dressing up like a clown, the exact same costume we see 009 in at the very beginning of the movie.
Right.
And he goes into the circus, and he's trying to warn everybody, and nobody is wanting to believe him
because he looks like a clown.
Right. And long story short, he ends up disarming the bomb just in time. Pussy finds out that Kamal was going to kill him, and so she actually goes to his house with all of her women, not really assassins.
What?
but they're trained. They know how to fight.
They're
But
just experts.
Acrobats and things like it was a really cool, like very ninja-esque
Right.
thing. So like they're very quiet. They're slowly, systematically taking out the guards. Pussy gets up to the very top and she's ready to kill Kamal, and a sword fight breaks out. Let's see.
And then they get into like, don't they get into a little squabble?
Well, like okay, so yes, there's a good fight here. Bond shows up with Q in a hot air balloon with a CCTV. That's like the most
random way to go into this. This is awesome fight, then hot balloon.
Right. And then there's like a CCTV camera on the side. So Bond is going to try to help Pussy, who's been now kidnapped. There's it's pretty cool, but pretty ridiculous scene where Bond has a machine gun, and there's like this banister for these stairs, and he is riding down the banister front ways and shoots all the henchmen as he comes down.
Oh yeah.
And then he steals a horse. He goes after them. He goes after the plane. He ends up climbing on the plane right as it's taking off. They try to shake him, but they can't. He disables one engine. The henchman gets out there and tries to fight him, and Bond defeats him with the antenna of the airplane. Literally holds it back like a spring and lets it go, and it slaps him in the face, and he lets go and falls off.
Looney Tune 101 right there.
Bond like forces one of the ailerons down, so the plane has no choice but to land. While the plane is going down, Bond climbs in, grabs Pussy. The plane kind of skids on the ground for a minute, and they hop out, and then the plane like loses control and crashes. And then it cuts to Gogol is talking to M, and he's like, no, that wasn't our intent. It was all one guy. We don't want any fights. We don't want to cause a war with America.
He does not represent us.
Right, basically. And then they say that Bond can't come back because of his injuries. He's got to stay in India. And it cuts to Pussy and Bond on her ship, which is being rowed by all of her female cohorts. And she makes the comments about it. It's a shame you're injured so badly. And that's when he like shakes it all off, and he's like, oh, just kidding.
Right.
So it's like, wait, you made me set all this stuff up for nothing? And then that's where the movie ends.
Yeah, and so that's into that mission. So let's go into the question. Let's go into our questions. So question number one, of course, this is something we do at the very end of every time. Did we feel like Bond completed his mission? Was there even a mission?
There
was a mission, but like...
Okay, so the mission became stop the bomb from blowing up because millions of people were going to die. And I thought he did a really good job with that. I thought he did a really good job investigating. But the bad guy was just crap.
I think there was really no bad guy.
Right, like Kamal was.
I felt like they were. It felt like from For Your Eyes Only. It felt like that when one guy was a bad guy, and then he's like, I don't want to be a bad guy anymore. You be the bad guy, and they just throw it to him, and now he has to be the bad guy. You didn't know in this one who was going to be the person that's going to do what. Like, with the title, you thought, okay, maybe Octopussy was going to be the villain, but totally not that, right?
Yeah, and at the same time, it's like, if you were going to kill Pussy anyway, or Octopussy, why would you continue to take orders from her? Because he wanted to kill Bond. He had Bond, and she was like, nah, I don't think so. And so if it were me, I would have been like, yeah, I'm going to blow you up anyway, so
right.
I'm going to go ahead and do that.
I think part of it he was jealous too. He's like,
well, all the more reason to just kill him.
Exactly.
So, I don't know.
Overall,
the movie was, it wasn't terrible. There's just a lot of stuff that happens for for them to get to the meat of the movie.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that For Your Eyes Only, I know we go to this, but For Your Eyes Only had a lot of stuff in it, but it was just boring.
Right.
And Octopussy didn't really have a lot of stuff, but yet it was a little more entertaining, even though there wasn't really nothing there.
Yeah, like...
It's weird, right?
I think it was more interesting.
I guess so, yeah.
Like what was going on and the twists of what the actual goal was of the bad guys. Orlov gets killed by machine gun fire as he's running towards the train. We didn't cover that.
Right.
He's running towards the train because he sees Gogol, and these Russian military guys just shoot him, even though he's wearing a uniform.
Right.
So I didn't quite understand that. So he kind of died lame. Like,
I also felt like in this one, Bond was getting put in situations that was very unnecessary. Like, I didn't feel like that he in the train scene when he had to eavesdrop on what about the bomb. I didn't feel like the gorilla suit is necessary for him to dress in as.
Yeah.
I was like, why does he have to be in a gorilla suit to do this? Why does he have to swing like Tarzan in the jungle during a manhunt? Why does he have to dress like a clown? Couldn't he just run out into the circus and just say there's a bomb? I mean, there was a lot of little unnecessary things that didn't really have any meaning behind it, in my point of view.
Yeah, it's just a bunch of things that we decided weren't really worth going into.
Right.
Which is why this one is kind of rushed when we talk about it. Yeah, I don't know. I think, honestly, it was just an excuse to have a provocative name.
Yeah. Yeah, because during this whole thing, we're at 26. So
yeah, I think they were just hoping that the name would bring people in.
So let's even talk about the title. And, of course, the Bond girl, Octopussy, right? That is 20.
Well, and Magda survived the whole movie, too.
Yeah, but she was basically she was in the back burner ever since they brought back the circus, right? She was just part of the circus worker, but she didn't do anything else.
They showed her there towards the end, like she was beating a bunch of bad guys up.
I guess, but like it didn't.
But she was eye candy, pretty much.
Right. It's not like her and Bond worked together to do this situation. It was supposed to be Bond and Octopussy, right? But Octopussy was supposed to be this Bond girl per se. But the problem is, here's a movie with a title of a character that really wasn't really that involved in the movie. She was this person that was this middle person, and they built her up as this person that she's supposed to be something important, and is more of she's just good at being a thief.
Right. And she has an island full of women.
Yeah, and it's more like if Bond was fighting all the girls or something, that would have been more intriguing or something like that. Or she betrays Khan or betrays somebody and she ends up going her own thing. Like, there was an opportunity for her to be this character that was really, like, not that bad of a person becoming a bad person. Like, look, I'm tired of being this middle person. I'm going for this egg and all this money for myself. Yeah. That would have been a little bit more interesting for me. And then the fact that, you know, like we mentioned earlier, there was a missed opportunity for her to be kind of part of Spectre. She was portrayed as a character off of Man with the Golden Gun, which that could all connected. There was a lot of opportunities there I wish they would have done. I know, like, based on the books, it's totally different, but for this movie world, that would have been a nice little fun connection from there. And so, but overall, her and Magda, I felt like they were there, but they weren't really doing anything. I think they were the most, could I say they're the most useless in this Bond series so far? Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, there's really no substance.
Right. And so, let's talk about the Bond villain. So, well, I mean, you had Orlov, you had Khan, and those are your two. And they basically did the same thing they did with For Your Eyes Only. Here's a character that we thought it was the villain, but not the true villain. This one. Except now, this time, Travis, they reversed it. They made Orlov this guy that seems like the villain, and then they switched off to this low-naming person, Khan, that he worked under both of them. And so, and Khan to me was not being pushed to his full potential. He was really relying on his henchmen to do the work, but he put a little bit of work in there, but not enough where he got his hands dirty. He never got his hands dirty. And for a character set up in that world, he could have got his hand a little dirty. He helped set up a bomb, but that's really it. And then on top of that, you had Orlov that at the beginning was supposed to be this guy that's supposed to be doing something, end up really having entirely different plan of what we imagined him at the very beginning, in my opinion. And so, what is your take on the villains?
He was just lame. Like, I really do think he should have just killed Bond, or tried to behind Octopussy's back.
Mm-hmm.
He did hire the assassins, I guess, but at the same time, it's like, why would you wait till then?
Right.
It's like just kill him.
Mm-hmm. Right. No, I agree. It's bad that the one movie before did not take care of that problem in this film. Yeah. Like I feel like now that you thought that this movie did really well and you're trying to use that same idea again, which For Your Eyes Only did do well. So I guess they wanted to use that same idea and put it in this one, but we're slowly now seeing from the Roger Moore series, and we got one more to go, is that we talked about this, that, The Spy Who Loved Me and Moonraker were the tipping points.
Yeah.
Because here's the two first movies that were kind of but The Spy Who Loved Me just brought it up to make up for those other two. Moonraker, he kind of carried the torch a little bit, but not as enough as Spy Who Loved Me, in my opinion. But then you have these two movies that why didn't you guys not learn from those two movies to do with this next one? And it's from the same director.
Right.
John Glenn, not the astronaut. And so
not the astronaut.
So that's just very interesting. And then just of course that music, man. The music's been going a little bit downhill for me.
You think so?
Well, I mean, Moonraker,
like the opening.
Yeah, the opening music. Like Moonraker, kind of. You felt like from The Spy Who Loved Me to Moonraker, it's okay, but then you get For Your Eyes Only, that just didn't fill up for that, and then All Time High was a little disappointing because they didn't try to do an idea with Octopussy to make a song out of that, and I don't know if that would have turned into an R. I don't know, but overall, I would probably put this above For Your Eyes Only, sadly enough. Because even though there was not a lot of meat on this, it was still a little more intrigue because you were still left with a mystery.
Right.
So I guess that was the thing that kept it going. There was a mystery still behind it. Like, what is the whole end game of this? And so, Travis, any last words before you want to wrap this up, man? Anything else? Did you feel like the Q branch did a good job for you?
Yeah, I really enjoyed the gadgets. The watch was pretty cool.
This watch around?
Yeah, Seiko again, which I find very interesting. Mm-hmm. But overall, I thought the movie was just okay. It took too long to get good.
Would you put that above For Your Eyes Only? We already know this is definitely not in our top 5.
Yeah, I think I do.
Okay.
I think I do.
Okay. Because I think at the end of all this, we'll have a nice talk outside of the podcast about rank them like the Roger Moore. We already know what number 1 and number 2 is. We just need to know who's the third runner-up and beyond that.
Right.
And so, but I want to thank everybody for coming to listen to this mission. Remember, this is part of the In-Game Boss program, a network of gaming and other networks, shows like Area 44, the In-Game Boss podcast, and of course, Gaming Halls of Rivalry. So definitely check us out. But this show is important too. And yes, this is more of a niche show, but I think anybody that's a Bond fan or just want to learn about Bond this is a great show to come listen to. It's basically audio story on the go, basically.
Yeah, we've made some realizations. I think Roger Moore is the era that I remember the most. Mm-hmm. Simply because of the gadgets. Going back and watching the Sean Connery stuff, I've realized that maybe the Daniel Craig movies deserve another go.
Right.
Now that I have seen the originals again.
Mm-hmm. And what's more fun about this show to me is that, Travis and I are rewatching this, but we're also learning and relearning a bunch of stuff that like I don't remember that, or I never noticed that. And so this is why it's been a fun ride so far for us. But it's still a lot more Bonds to go,
That's right.
Right? There's 24 films And I don't even think we hit the halfway point yet. And so, but there's one more to go, and that's A View to a Kill. And
That's right. Had a $30 million budget.
And so, and how much was the budget on this one, Travis? What do you look that up real quick while I finish off my thing? But remember, you can always leave a comment and leave, your opinions with us and tell us what we're doing. We're doing a great job. We're doing a bad job. What's your favorite Bond movie? What's your least favorite Bond movie? Do you think Octopussy was a good movie? Let us know. Or do you just think the name was just fun to say over and over again? Because in television, that's the only way you can get the word that across without getting in trouble, right? And so, but overall, we love to hear just your comments, what you have to say. But remember, you can catch all our shows on Spotify, YouTube, Podbean, and of course, Apple Podcasts. So definitely check all that stuff out. Subscribe and follow, because what you do helps us knowing that we are still doing a great job. And this series is just beginning. I can't wait till we get to, when we get to the more, our favorite, well, to me, my favorite Bond era. The Pierce Brosnan, because that's what I grew up with. Right. So I can't wait to go revisit those and talk about, do I still love those the way I used to? And so, and like Travis said, the Daniel Craig's. And our goal of the show is to make the final episode the 25th Bond movie. That's coming out, Bond 25. So,
that's right.
So we're hoping that we landed right on time. But don't forget, there's other stuff we're going to be talking about, the Bond video game GoldenEye. We're even going to have fun segment. We're going to talk about scenarios in the Bond series that the directors and production change. And we're going to talk about, was that for the better, or was that should have been something else? And Travis, if it's okay with you, I would actually like to do our top 5 actors that would be great Bond villains to us and actual Bond.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think we should do that as in our halfway point. So after View to a Kill, then we'll do an episode hey, these are the Bonds that we would like to see, or something like that. So, but with that. Oh, did you find out how much the budget was?
$27.5 million for Octopussy.
Okay.
Was the budget.
Okay. All right. That's not that expensive compared to the other ones.
Where are we at on Octopussies?
Oh, sorry. Hang on. We are at 32.
32.
So, and, that's what we clocked at.
Not too obligatory.
Right. I was actually expecting more. But Travis did all the Octopussy talking for all of us. 39. I'm just kidding. 33. And so, but with that, we will catch y'all on our very next mission.
Ba-da, ba-da, poing.